The Great Seal, this eagle, right? You've heard him talk about the Israeli star that is above the head of the eagle. But the indigenous people have this symbol too. They say, if you look at it in the right hand, the eagle is holding an olive branch. In the left hand, 13 arrows. They say it means peace and it means strength. The indigenous people say it means something different. But it's with one another in the wilderness of North America. The eagle, the symbol on the Mexican flag. The eagle, a precious and sacred animal to all of the indigenous people of this hemisphere. Birds in particular, these birds of prey in particular, because they're able to reach the heights of the heavens flying, yet so humble they must come all the way down into the dirt to get their food. They represent divinity and humility and this balance in order for them to survive. So it's seen as a sacred animal to people of the indigenous tribes. They say that the 13 arrows represents not strength in the traditional sense. They say that represents the native indigenous people of the Western Hemisphere. That's why it's in the left hand. They say that the olive branch doesn't represent peace in the traditional sense. It represents the black people. The eagle represents what the eagle represents. The enemy of both people, holding both of them captive. I'll say it like the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad said it. The so-called Negro is the prey of the white man, America, being held firmly in the white man's power. So in the image you see the white man's power, her flag, her arms stretched out, bold, holding two people in her grasp. Pray. Interesting, something happened though in 19, I want to make sure I give you the right year here. In 1776, when the United States government printed the dollar, in one claw of the eagle, if you've ever noticed, there's an olive branch. They say that represents peace, but the Indian elders from South Dakota say it represents the enslavement of black people. But it's the olive branch because the black man represents peace. It represents peace because the black man is founded in peace. So the symbol for the black man's enslavement is an olive branch. The original tribes that they found here of Native American people were warriors. So you have 13 arrows. There's 13 tribes that are talked about, but one is a hidden, missing tribe. And some believe that that's the people that were here in the Western Hemisphere. More on that at some later time. But that's what the 13 represents. In her hand, when they landed on the moon, they said the eagle has landed. The Hopi people said this was a horrible sign. And after this happened, and they were celebrating the anniversary of America's accomplishment, they released a special coin, as they tend to do. And originally they were going to put a capsule landing on the moon on it. But instead they changed it to an eagle landing on the moon to represent the eagle landing, but it only had something in one hand and the other hand had been freed now. They no longer were holding the arrows, they were simply an olive branch in their hand. And the Hopi people say it represents that they had let the indigenous people go, but they were still holding the black man. And there was one more thing that the black man had to do. And then they would be free and become the cornerstone of a new civilization which would free all of the black, the brown, the red, and the yellow, and even the whites who've been enslaved by their own people. Now, if that sounds familiar to you and I, because we don't read, because we don't study, because we don't know enough about ourselves and the truth of this divine rooted knowledge that we have, this is the original teachings. So when you hear another brother's original teachings, it'll kiss and come up close to yours if you and I are studying. If we don't know our own teaching, you cannot recognize the truth in someone else's teaching. You have nothing to base or correlate or connect with it on because you and I haven't even come into a knowledge of our own. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, and I'll finish that quote from him, the so-called Negro is the prey of the white man of America, being held firmly in the white man's power. along with 2 million Indians who must be redeemed at this time.